Okay. Yeah, I think I'm good.
All right. Hello and welcome. My name is Carmen Geyer, and I will be your moderator for the Port Angeles School District Luncheon chat today with Superintendent Martin Brewer. This virtual luncheon is being presented remotely via Zoom for all attendees and is recorded. If you wish to share comments or ask questions, please use the Q&A button located at the bottom of the Zoom conference window. Submit your name and please wait to be called on. When it is your turn to speak, your name will be called and your mic will be enabled. If you do not have a microphone, please submit your questions or comments in the chat and I can read them for you. And now to you, Superintendent Brewer.
All right, thank you. And welcome back to those of you that have joined us today. I appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us on a weekly basis to get current news and updates from the Port Angeles School District. My name is Martin Brewer, the superintendent. With me today, I have Pam Helpenstall, which is a teacher at Port Angeles High School, works in the business department, does a lot of programs around student programs and ASB, and also Nathan Rodal, which is the orchestra teacher at Port Angeles High School and also serves as the chair of the music department for the Port Angeles School District. So welcome to the guests from the community and our special guest from Port Angeles High School. Before we get started with the primary part of the presentation today, I do want to share my screen real quickly, outline, oh boy, my computer is acting very funny today. I apologize. I had my Department of Health guidelines pulled up and now they are not there. I apologize. So I'm going to speak through memory. Jenny, do you have that? If you could put that in chat. The Department of Health guidelines, we will put that in chat. I was going to pull it up to speak off of it. But we do have summer and fall guidance. The good news is that the expectation of school systems across the state of Washington will be to return to 5 days of learning, full days for students and teachers next school year. And by board action last Thursday night, a week ago Thursday, our plan, which is now posted on our website, includes the expectation of 5 days in-person learning and full days for students and teachers. We're really excited for that. The mitigation strategies that we have implemented this year have worked. We have had no community transmission within our schools. Some of those mitigation strategies will remain in place moving into the summer and the fall. All of this is subject to change, obviously, as we've seen many curveballs thrown at our school system this year with regards to mitigation strategies. Those strategies that are outlined in the document that Jenny will share with you include as of this date, masks continue to be required by all students and staff within the Port Angeles School District and quite frankly across the state of Washington. I know there's conflicting messages out there with regards to CDC and venues, but schools are exempt from that from those maskless locations at this point in time. So at this time, masks will continue to be required. We also have cleaning requirements. We have reporting requirements. And those continue to be strategies that have been very helpful for all school districts, including Port Angeles School District this school year. One of the required mitigation strategies to include physical distancing this year now has transitioned to what they call recommended. And so our recommended physical distancing strategy next year will be 3 feet in the classroom and 6 feet everywhere else. Now, I want to caution everybody in the room today that that is subject to change and quite frankly was likely to change before school starts. And when I say change, I think it's gearing up towards less restrictive, meaning less social distancing and physical distancing requirements will be even recommended by the State Department of Health. But at this point in time, what we are building our plans for is it would be 3 feet in the classroom and 6 foot everywhere else. Now, there is a caveat to that. If a school system cannot pull that off in a particular location, that is not a physical distancing recommendation should not eliminate the opportunity for kids to experience a full instructional day. So we're going to work really hard to make the 3-foot and 6-foot work everywhere within our schools. If there's a space that we just simply can't make it work, we're still going to come to school. That's the bottom line. So we're really excited for that, moving towards, return to more normalcy next year. And I know all of our families in our community are excited for that as well. So with that being said, I think that, and for those of you that come on a weekly basis, thank you for your patience with me. I like to make sure I cover that at the beginning of each session so that we are spreading the information that is fair and true, with regards to expectations for reopening next school year. So with that being said, I want to turn it over to our special guest today, and we're going to start with the music department chair, Nathan Rodall. Nathan, you're on the floor.
Thank you so much, Superintendent Brewer. And I need to say in more than just this capacity for the invitation today to come and speak, Superintendent Brewer, thank you so much for your tireless efforts with us in the music department to determine how we get to yes, whether it's getting back to in-person school, getting back to rehearsals, getting equipment for our teachers throughout the school district. This has been, certainly a challenging year. There's no two ways about that. And each time in the music department that we needed to change gears and suit the changing climate and circumstances, we have been very supported this year in getting the tools that we need to empower students to still experience the quality of music education that we have come to expect in the school district. I was very grateful last week to be able to host on 3 separate occasions concerts in person with my students. Those of you who are long-term community members know that the Port Angeles High School Orchestra is quite large, and even this school year where we've experienced some reduced enrollment, the Symphonic Orchestra, which is 3 separate class periods, is still well over 80 people. And so, of course, we could not have that full group on stage. And my student leadership, who I really relied on this year, asking them throughout the school year, what do you want out of this school year, given the circumstances? How can we make your senior year, your junior year, as much as it can be? And the students worked with me, and we figured out a schedule so that no 2 groups were performing, back to back, so that we could air out of the auditorium and follow the guidelines that we had submitted in our orchestra labs plan. But that meant the Symphonic Orchestra played twice in 2 halves. We have put together, I think Carmen and/or Jenny have links if you're interested to videos from our concerts. And then on the Saturday following, we were able to put together an alternative all-city strings review, which I know is very important to our community. And as this will be my 3rd year next year as the Port Angeles High School Orchestra Director, and still we have not been able to have a traditional all-city strings review. But I do know that is one of the more important events in our community, certainly in our music department. It is a primary source of our pride. And such an opportunity to see from 4th grade through 12th grade the hard work of our strings teachers. But this alternative concert that we put together it was mostly organized by the students. That was very important to me, with it being, the final opportunity for these seniors to play Ode to Joy in the tradition that they are used to in a regular setting. If any of you who have been to Lincoln Center know the photo right in the front office of All City Strings Review. I believe that picture is from the last year we were able to have all combined on one night, and there's something around 800 string students on the floor altogether. Now we've split those into two concerts moving forward. But if you get a chance to watch these videos, you'll really see some resiliency in our students that stuck it out to remain in music during this year. I mean, any course this year to learn online in a new modality for both teachers and students was something that I overcame to an extent that I think we exceeded our expectations with what we were able to do online. While I'm the orchestra teacher, I also represent the music department, and I'd like to put a shout out to my colleague John Kilzer, who is our 6th grade band teacher. If you haven't checked in with Mr. Kilzer lately, he has produced some of the best online content that anybody has put out there for his students to play. With the wind instruments in particular, I've been working all year with Mr. Jarrett Hansen, who is our new high school band teacher, and Ms. Hannah Reed at the middle school of, how do we get to yes for their students to be able to rehearse and perform. And we finally got to a point where they could have some limited playing opportunities in class, and that's fantastic. But Mr. Kilzer, without being able to get into the classroom in the schools because the schedules are so complicated, creating really impressive online content to keep these students engaged at 5 different elementary schools. I really think he's done a great job. Principal at Franklin Elementary, Jeff Lunt, I was quoted as saying, "As good as anyone could have done this online, you have done." And I think that's high praise and well-deserved to Mr. Kilzer. I also want to thank our choir teacher, Vicki Helwick, who last year taught at the middle school, and this year, in the wake of Jolene Gailey retiring, stepped up and made sure that our choir students would have meaningful instruction this year. That's as much as I had prepared to say, but thank you again to Superintendent Brewer and all of our administrators who helped us get to yes for these kids to have the best possible experience we could within the restrictions for their safety. Something that I said when we sort of started into this unknown territory of restrictions and mask mandates and things like that was that when we did have our next concert after the statewide lockdown, that I didn't want a single chair to be empty because we failed to follow a guideline from the state or the local health department. And I can comfortably say, proudly say, that there was not a single empty chair at any of our concerts because we failed to follow precautions. Superintendent Brewer was at our performance, I believe on the Wednesday performance, and I heard from Jeff Clark some feedback that our precautions were really well appreciated. It was very clear on the way into the auditorium. There was one path where you had to sanitize your hands, fill out your attestation forms, and hand them to a district employee. And we had distancing within the auditorium. And all of these things are how we got to yes. And whatever we need to do next year, whatever it looks like, we will continue to do what we need to do to get to yes for our students, whatever their needs are. So thank you, Superintendent Brewer, for having me. And if you have any questions at all for me, my email is nrodahl@portangeloschools.org. I actually need to get back to my 7th period. It's the second to last time I get to rehearse my seniors. And I asked Superintendent Brewer if I could skip out after I said my piece so I can have one last rehearsal with these students who are so special to me. But thank you for this opportunity, and I look forward to any questions from the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And go enjoy your students. Well deserved. All right, next we have on the agenda for today, special guest Pam Helpenstall. Pam, the floor is yours.
That bad joke, unmute yourself. You're muted. Thank you for having me today. I appreciate the opportunity to share the good things that have happened this year, despite being in a pandemic. I believe we're still in a pandemic. And I just wanted to echo what Nathan said. All the support that we received as teachers to get kids into the classroom, it's extremely difficult to teach and reach every student on a social emotional level online. So I think we are very fortunate in Port Angeles to have such a strong leadership team to be able to bring our students into the classroom, even though it's 2 days a week. And it kind of hit me today. One of my seniors said, I only have this class one more day and I'm done because it's Friday. they're B students, I will see them on Tuesday, and then Friday next week, they'll be getting ready for graduation. So that really snuck up on us. We really were gaining some speed some steam this fourth quarter with getting some things accomplished. We talked this morning just a little bit about in leadership, what we have to look forward to next year, but also being so thankful for everything we've been able to do this year. We really crammed a lot in at the end of the year, and that was music departments, our vocational departments. Everybody's just trying to get as much as we can in. When the pandemic hit, it was Friday the 13th, I remember well, not the pandemic, but when we actually stopped school, I don't think we were ready to just be cut off from the student body. And so leadership kind of scrambled. What can we do? Our students they don't really check their email. We know they're on social media. How do we reach them? We don't have the daily bulletin. Parents don't always look at their email. They don't always share everything. So we put together once a week what we call the Tuesday Talk. And we tried to get that information out to the students that would be covered in the daily bulletin. It was hard to reach, but we sent it out by email to the students. We really tried to promote social media because we know that that's where we could reach most of the students. We continued that this year until we were able to come back to school and resume the bulletin. We also found that as we got ready to come back in the fall, students had a lot of questions. They didn't know what to expect, what it was going to look like. I think the school did a good job of putting out information, but there was still a lot of students that would come to me and say, I don't know. They weren't students of mine, but because I'm leadership advisor, I don't know really what to expect. And so I got together with our principal, Mr. Clark, and we took all those questions that students had and we put them together in a video and letting kids know what to expect when they came back to school. But I think communication is really the hard part. When we don't have the kids in the classroom, it's really hard to connect with them. Once we got into school, the leadership team, it was a little harder than I thought it was going to be because they were so focused on what we couldn't do. We can't have homecoming. And we kept saying, well, we can, but when can we have it? We just need to find out when things are going to open back up. If sports open back up, there's a good chance we're going to have a homecoming. It's going to look different. There was just so much depression and, so many things were lost. And so, we talked about, let's concentrate on what we can do. And again, it comes back to that strong team we have, our leadership team and administration that helped us find, like Nathan says, finding a way to say yes. And so we decided moving forward, we were not going to talk about anymore what we couldn't do, but what can we do? Because there's always a way. It may not look the same, but there's a way to accomplish your goals. So Club Fair is something we have every September, and clubs come and they set up in the student center, and it's especially well attended by our freshmen because we want them to get involved. They want to be involved. They can't leave campus for lunch, so they're stuck here. And so we have giveaways and prizes. And we were worried if we couldn't have that, how are students going to find that connection and get involved? So we decided to do a remote club fair, and it was fairly successful. I think FBLA, they were able to sign up like 100 kids into their Google Classroom. Students could, we had a live board where they could just enter and leave. I think we had the meetings open for an hour and they could ask questions. So I think we've been pretty successful keeping our clubs going. We even approved 2 brand new clubs on campus during a pandemic, which I think is phenomenal. We usually get 3 or 4 a year, and here we're in a pandemic while we're not on campus, and we have 2 brand new clubs start up that have been very successful. So it's just finding a new way to do it. And I can see maybe that clubs might continue to meet with Google Meetings. I think there's some good that there's some silver linings, and I think we've all increased our technology skills. We've been forced into that, different ways to meet and do things. I can see continuing Google Meetings with some of my officers, different times when we need to meet, maybe outside of the school day. We also were a little bit worried about how in leadership we were going to work on our student projects. And I really have to say, we've had some of the most successful student projects this year while we were remote. The students engaged on a different level. They're always student focused. My job in leadership with the projects is to show them the process. Where do you start? Where do you end? How do you know you're successful? How do you know what your work is good enough? And I kept pushing that. Is this good enough? Is this good enough? Because I, sometimes would want to withdraw. And we, some of our projects, I'm really proud of the kids this year. They put together these videos called Write or Rush because they felt that students maybe didn't have a connection to the high school. So let's show them the high school, especially the freshmen. Let's go around campus. Let's meet some of the staff. Let's show them what different areas look like. They were just quick little videos, kind of in and out. We ran that series. We tried to have engaging things like pumpkin carving contests. One group of students put together a phone addiction educational video. And boy, the timing was good for that because I think we had an increased amount of phone addiction because that was the only way that a lot of students had to connect with their peers. Several of the students had identified themselves already as having a phone addiction and had taken some steps and wanted to share some things that had worked with them with the student body. We actually sold class shirts. We decided, you know what, this is something we still can do. We're going to continue to work on our class shirts. Each class has a class color. They designed the shirts and we were able to sell those, get those out to the student body. We had a mock presidential election, which I think was probably, looking back, we had the most participation that we've ever had in a mock election. We had some clothing drives. We partnered with some community partners. We didn't let that stop us. Most of the interaction they did was by phone, which was interesting because I found out, which I didn't know, that teenagers don't talk on the phone. Like, what do you mean you don't talk on the phone? And they said, we don't talk on the phone. We text, we message, but we don't pick up the phone and call people. So we talked about that because normally we're out in the community. And we also had community guest speakers that we partnered with for our projects. We always have a holiday sweater contest at our winter assembly. And so, yeah, we can still do that. So we were able to do that. We also produced for the first time ever for leadership, a Martin Luther King assembly. And I was very proud of the students putting that together. We had some speakers. Marty was one of our guest speakers. Thank you, Mr. Clark. And then we had some students. That was a lot of fun. It's usually the music department puts that together. So students were very engaged in that. Usually in the end of August, am I still okay for time?
Yeah,
Okay.
4 minutes.
Okay. The end of August, we have a writer crew puts together a freshman orientation, and we weren't able to do that. So we thought, okay, what can we do? We sent students picked, we divided up the freshman class and they sent emails trying to be that link for them. And what questions do you have? How can we help you? What do you need? And freshmen said, we need to see the school. We really need to see what it looks like. We have Google meetings, but we don't feel that connection. And so we brought in 5 freshmen at a time, or new students that hadn't attended Port Angeles High School before. And we brought them in and gave campus tours. And that we didn't, hit 100% of freshmen, but I think we were close to 25%. And so it was a lot of fun for the leadership kids to be able to bring them in and show off our campus. And so they just felt a stronger connection. We did a beach cleanup that Carmen was there for that. And that was where a club kind of grew out of that. Ocean Conservancy, they partnered with, and then little did we know, Carmen was involved with surf riders. And so we developed some relationships there. We put some kindness challenges out, even to the community, some challenge teachers, challenge students. There was different activities involved to promote kindness. We partnered with some local businesses for donations for foster students at Port Angeles High School because they identified that they felt that foster students might have a little bit, some increased challenges through this time. And so they got some movie tickets donated, swim passes, those types of things. And the big one, we were able to do homecoming, which was very successful. We weren't able to have spectators, but we were able to record everything. Students at first were a little slow to get involved, and then, we couldn't accommodate everyone on the teams, but we tried to spread it out as much as possible. Most of the day, Wednesday, last week, we were up on the upper field at the high school, and they did the carriage race. They did the carriage decorating. Tug of war was extremely engaging. Ultimate Frisbee. And it was so nice to hear the students have that healthy rivalry going that they have missed out on. Because homecoming is where we usually start the year, and that's where we really have our biggest engagement. And then we're always thinking of, okay, now how do we keep everybody engaged? And so to have that at the end, it was, we kept saying, this might be cool to have it in the spring. And so now we're going to turn around. The next good news is we have homecoming already scheduled in the fall. So we're really excited coming out of homecoming, now going into hopefully a more traditional homecoming and getting the community out to the football game and just getting back to normal. So we're really looking forward what the new year is going to hold, because I feel like we're going to be so much stronger. We learned how we can communicate when we're outside of the classroom, and now we're going to be back in the classroom. And I'm looking forward to all the additional opportunities that we have. So thank you everyone for your support. We were able in the fall to bring handfuls of kids in to, work on yearbook, to work on, our business and vocational classes, which was really important. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Pam. I appreciate the update. And I want to make sure to go on record that teachers like Pam, and we have hundreds of teachers just like Pam that have worked so very hard, and Nathan today, to really address, the closure time within the pandemic, but still give students a quality experience. But then on the back end of the pandemic, as we're ramping up more in-person learning opportunities, as you've heard today, the concerts for band and orchestra a couple of weeks ago, homecoming. We have a senior gala coming up. We have in-person graduation. We have a lot of really good things happening now. And that doesn't just happen by chance. It's a lot of good people putting in really hard work to make that happen. So thank you to Nathan and Pam for being two driving forces to be able to carry out that work to give our students the experience they deserve. So thank you very much. And hopefully, Pam, you can stick around for a few minutes in case we get any questions regarding, your work at the high school moving into next year. So with that being said, we, an important part of the virtual chat luncheons is an opportunity to have a two-way conversation and answer your questions. Last week, I was asked a question around where would we have an opportunity, or where would the community have an opportunity to view community forums with regards to board candidates for the upcoming election. And we were able to find 4 areas for certain. There may be others, but PABA, the Port Angeles Business Association, they will have a forum for candidates to debate. The Kiwanis Club, the Noontime Kiwanis Club, hosts an event of that nature as well. Port Angeles Rotary Clubs do that as well, and the League of Women Voters. Those are 4 opportunities that we're aware of that will give the community an opportunity to hear the candidates that are running for the 2 board open seats. So I wanted to make sure I started our Q&A today with an answer last week that I was not able to get to you immediately. So with that being said, we'll now open the floor for any questions that our community members have. Carmen?
Thank you, Superintendent Brewer. At this time, there are none, so we'll just wait for, if you would like to speak, you can put your name in the Q&A and I can unmute. Or if you would like me to read your question, I'd be more than happy to do that as well.
All right. And while we're waiting for a question to come in, I'll speak a little bit about graduation. Again, the number of people working together to make in-person graduation work on the back end of this pandemic is nothing short of incredible. The local Department of Health has been really, really helpful to us. The staff across our entire district, the high school staff, the maintenance department, administration, other school staff have been critical in being able to piece this together to give our students the graduation they deserve. So we released earlier in the week, Carmen released earlier in the week, details around graduation, which is a week from today. It's hard to believe. 7:30 p.m. for Port Angeles High School graduation next Friday night. And we're keeping our fingers crossed for no rain. But rain or shine, we will be out on the civic field to carry out an in-person graduation. We're really excited to announce in our work with the Department of Health that each graduate will get 4 tickets for their families, and that will be in-person tickets for them to view this event, which will be between 800 and 1,000 individuals in Civic Field. So that's how far we've come in this pandemic. Imagine 6 months ago, even considering that was even a possibility. I'm not sure we knew that was going to happen. So we're really excited. A couple of things that those that attend will need to adhere to. Masks still continue to be, as I started this meeting today, masks are required at school events and on school campuses. Now, Civic Field is technically owned by the city, but it is a school-sponsored event. So masks will be required for the students that participate, as well as the participants that come in the form of spectators. Also, social distancing will continue to be enforced. And so Nolan Deuce, which is the director of facilities and maintenance, he's this week been working at Civic Field to take the bleachers and map those bleachers out with regards with tape, etc., to be able to provide the appropriate level of social distancing. So work has been happening this week by high school staff, by maintenance department staff, and most certainly my office and Carmen's support of that, to carry out this really important event for all of our well-deserving seniors. So that's one really exciting announcement that I wanted to make sure I shared with the community today. Lincoln High graduation is set for Monday, June 14th. That will be at Peninsula College. That is also an in-person graduation. We will offer the same opportunity for graduates to have 4 in-person tickets to share that very special moment for that high school senior. And finally, if you cannot make it to these events because of limited tickets and or you have friends and family out of the area, these events will also be live streamed. So we're really excited to be able to offer that. So with that being said, what questions do we have now, Carmen?
Nothing has come through yet.
Okay. Let's see. Last night, we were invited to attend the Lower Elwha Clallam Tribal Parade, and that was very well done by our tribal partners. And they recognized Jamie Valdez for a phenomenal career, and she's retiring this year. So I want to go on record to say thank you to our wonderful partners to the West. They always do a very nice job at supporting their students, but also our district and our community. So thank you to Lower Elwha tribal community for a very gracious and phenomenal event yesterday. I hope we have questions. I'm trying to fill spot. Pam, do you have anything you want to fill until we get a question?
Well, one thing that I did forget to mention, which is kind of a big deal, through our homecoming events, one of the things the students are judged on, because it is a competition between classes, we were able to collect 530 pounds of donated items to the food bank. So that included food items and personal hygiene items. So proud of that, even in a pandemic. And we got to tour the food bank. If you haven't been out there, it's pretty cool. I don't know if anybody's been there, but what an improvement. So.
Thank you for that, Pam. Carmen, anything you want to update the community on?
Parent newsletter went out today, so it's the last one of the school year. It was a little bittersweet, but we've had an incredible year so far, amidst all the pandemic chaos and that was. But it's a really special one. Again, it's 8 pages long. There's just so much going on, you know, despite it all. So thank you to all the parents for your support. We did send out a survey yesterday in regards to collaboration times next year. So we need your input on if you would prefer late arrival or early dismissal and what day of the week. So please help us. This feedback is really important. So it'd be great to hear back from you. It's a quick 2-question survey. So we greatly appreciate your help with that. A really great program that I just learned about today is the Port Angeles School District AmeriCorps team. It has set up free, fun summer classes designed for middle school and high school students. It starts on June 28th and it runs until July 23rd. And these are Monday through Friday, outdoor education, mindfulness, upcycling classes. There's a gardening program, European exploration. There's training. I don't know if you've heard of the Big Hurt. It's a triathlon. It's a team-sponsored event. But there's training through the YMCA called the Little Hurt. And it's prepare for a small-scale triathlon with hiking or with biking, rowing, and running. So all of this is free. It made me want to take it, but there's some cooking skills, life skills classes. So all of this is in the newsletter email that I just that's going to be coming out. And so it's great. So if you have a middle schooler or high schooler, check it out. It's a great programming. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Carmen. Yeah, and you mentioned something, Carmen, that I want to make sure that I follow up on. You know, as hard as our district staff has worked this year to carry out this work, we have to recognize the fact that our parents and our families and guardians have worked equally as hard to make this pandemic year work, you know, as well as we could make it work, you know. So for those parents and guardians in the room, you know, we notice, you know, how hard this has been for you and your family. And, you know, we are understanding of that and committed to, you know, continuing to work with you to, you know, one, recover the opportunities missed, but also recover the learning loss and the potential learning loss. But, you know, that does not go unnoticed. So I want to make sure that that our families and guardians are have much respect from the educators of Port Angeles School District and the work that you put in this year to help your child and us, you know, meet what educational, you know, priorities we could meet in this very challenging year. So thank you to each of you. Any questions or comments?
We have a quiet group today.
Yeah. Well, that's either a good sign or a bad sign. I'm going to take it as a good sign.
Marty, we do have a question. I was emailed a question. We could take her off mute.
Okay.
Hold on one moment. Carmen, are you seeing the question?
Did you email it to me?
I already did.
Okay. All right, so I believe it's the phone number. Let's see here. I am going to allow the phone number to talk. And this is Wendy Clark Getson. I don't know if you can hear me, but if you can unmute and ask your question. Okay, it looks like she's not able to unmute, but she's asking Superintendent Brewer, when will Vocals Unlimited be back? Will this summer, is this summer with the new choir director?
Yeah, we currently have the choir director at the high school posted, meaning we're trying to recruit now our next director at Port Angeles High School. That's been posted now for approximately a week. We're trying to recruit at this point in time. My hope is before school is out, which is June 17th, I believe, that we will have a new director hired and be able to communicate accordingly to school district staff and also parents and families. So more to come on that. If anybody in this room is aware of a choir director that is looking for a great opportunity with a phenomenal program and district, we have that district. And so, you can help us by reaching out to those that maybe we have one of the top vocal groups and choirs in the state of Washington. We want to maintain that. And so more to come on that. Hopefully by this time next week, we'll have some progress made on that and I can provide an update. But it is a top priority of our school district to get that position filled. We are being cautiously optimistic in staffing for next year. The result of the pandemic for our school district has been approximately a loss of 250 students, which equals approximately $2.5 million. So, but we do have some ESSER funds, which are federal funds to help us reopen and stabilize our enrollment. And that really helps. And so we're looking at every position that we have in our district and determining, is that a position that we hire now, or is that a position we can wait until August to see what our true enrollment numbers look like. So, the choir position at the high school is one of those positions that's at the top of the list. And that's why that position has been posted. It was posted in late May and is a priority of our school district. So more to come on that. Thank you. I believe it was Mary for that question.
Wendy Clark.
Wendy, I'm sorry. Thank you, Wendy, for that question. More to come.
All that I'm seeing.
Okay, well, I appreciate all of you attending today's meeting or virtual luncheon. Next week, we have on the agenda, we'll have interscholastic activities. Dwayne Johnson and Brent Washi will be with us next week to speak about extracurricular activities, that summary of kind of this year and moving into next year, what that will look like. You heard Pam reference that we already have homecoming scheduled, and that gives you the intent of the school district that we are opening 5 days a week, full time. There are going to be some mitigation strategies, but we're going to work around those just as we have done this year and get our students back into a normal experience with the Port Angeles School District. I can't say that enough, that that is where we will be next fall. And so we're really excited to be able to return and give our students everything that they so desire. So hopefully you can come in next week with any additional questions you might have related to interscholastic activities or anything of interest. this is the time and the place. And so I appreciate and value folks taking time in their day to come and, speak with me today. Very much appreciated. Once again, thank you for Pam and Nathan for coming out, giving us a great update and kind of a vision into what the future will look like for next fall. And thank you again for attending. And I think I'll sign off now and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.